ask you straight out of the gate, based upon what we just heard from Chuck Schumer, do you agree with him that the goal of Trump-Musk is to destroy the Social Security Administration to the point where it's ripe for privatization?
There's no question about it that in the almost 9-decade history of the existence of Social Security, this is the greatest threat the program has ever faced. And, you know, I have to tell you, I just came back from spending all morning at a community event that I co-hosted with a local state rep here in Philly, Anthony Bellman. It was involved about 400 or 500 constituents of ours. The number one issue that I heard about by far was Social Security. And I have to tell you, folks here in Philly are fired up, angry, and also deeply, deeply worried about whether or not they're still going to be able to get their Social Security checks.
You know, Congressman, I want to emphasize this. I mentioned it in the setup at the beginning of the show. This is 73 million Americans, and it's not just older people. It also includes children as well, people that are receiving disability benefits. And so another economic looming issue is going to be the upcoming April 2nd announcement by Donald Trump of global tariffs, which have caused trade wars with partners. He's calling it Liberation Day, although the details, as always, remain unclear with Donald Trump. Are you anticipating a major escalation in the global trade war, which is going to lead to perhaps a recession?
Unfortunately, that is exactly what I'm anticipating. I was in contact with a local Philadelphia area car dealer, and he was walking me through the immediate consequences of what prices will be on his lot beginning on April 2nd, literally just in a few days. We're talking about $8,000 to $10,000 sticker price increases on his inventory. If you magnify that by every auto dealer in this country, that will have a devastating impact. And the sad irony is, you know, here in Pennsylvania, we had more TV ads and more money spent on the campaign and more visits from the candidates than any other state in the union. By far, the number one issue from the candidates and campaigns on both sides was how they would work to bring down costs for the American people. Well, here you have a policy of Donald Trump and his administration that is purposely going about dramatically raising costs for the American people. This will have a devastating impact. And the fact that we're seeing the markets already down more than 10% in just the last few weeks is further confirmation that it's not just you and I who are anticipating this downturn.
So your parents, both lifelong union members. Now, we just saw yesterday President Trump signing an executive order ending collective bargaining for wide swaths of federal employees. This executive order from Trump is touching almost every part of the federal government. Is this Trump going about union busting?
Yeah, you know, the sad irony is that a number of us, myself included, tried to warn voters that this is exactly what would happen. Don't believe the Trump rhetoric that he was somehow for the working class. He's always for billionaires like himself and the buddies at Mar-a-Lago that he hangs out with. You know, the way that my family was able to raise my brother and me, even though they were both blue-collar workers who didn't earn a lot of money, they were able to do it because they were both members of unions who collectively bargained for wages and benefits. So that way they would be able to afford to buy their own home, and they'd be able to raise 2 kids and give them opportunities that they themselves didn't have. Unions are essential if we're going to continue to build the American dream. So what Trump is attempting to do to make certain unions illegal, again, this brings us back, just like his attacks on Social Security, brings us back to how America was during the Great Depression and the decades immediately before it.
Let's take our focus right now into your home state, and let's talk about James Malone picking up an open Pennsylvania state Senate seat in an area that was number 1, went with Trump decidedly previously to this election, and number 2 is a very red rural area. I want you to explain to our viewers why, when we see a win like this during a time like now, why it does send a very resounding message that perhaps the tide is turning.
You know, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, just fired the political shot heard all around the world. The fact that in this county, which has always been one of the most Republican in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, in a state Senate seat that Trump won easily by double digits, the fact that we were able to win that is really a very strong sign, not just for state politics here in Pennsylvania, but throughout the nation. I think that we saw the ramifications of that when the very next day, Donald Trump revoked the nomination of Elise Stefanik, my colleague, a congresswoman from upstate New York, who represents a district that Trump won by more than 20 points. And Trump, because he always says the quiet part out loud, flat out admitted the reason why he was yanking the nomination is that he and other senior Republicans were afraid that they would lose the special election to fill her seat. So I think people actually have woken up to what's going on in this country, the threats to Social Security and Medicaid and so many other essential programs. And I think that we are going to see, again, this upcoming Tuesday in Wisconsin and Florida, and throughout the next year and a half, we are going to see the people fight back at the ballot box.